Hello and welcome to Live Your Love. I'm Dr. Alicia Doss and I am beyond excited to have in our studio the luminous Moe Rock. I am delighted to have you.
It's my pleasure and my privilege.
Thank you. My beloved listeners and viewers, this is going to be such an incredible show full of love and spirit and laughter and really incredible insights from an incredible individual. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Moe, and then we're going to of course call on the light and then have a beautiful conversation. So Moe Rock is recognized by MSN as one of the top 50 most influential people in American news media. Moe is a transformative figure in the industry, leading the Los Angeles Tribune with unparalleled vision and acumen. Under his leadership, the Tribune has not only thrived, but expanded its influence through strategic acquisitions, including several newspaper companies across major U.S. metropolitan areas and internationally, recently in Dubai and Australia, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. His innovative approach combines traditional journalistic integrity with cutting-edge digital advancements, setting new standards in the industry. Moe's contributions extend way beyond business. I know this personally. He has been awarded the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for volunteer service. This, my friends, is a prestigious honor from the President of the United States, acknowledging his extensive volunteer work and dedication to societal betterment. As a TED speaker, he has inspired many in the media profession, emphasizing the role of journalism in empowering communities. In addition to his executive role, Moe is a respected author. Tell me the names of your books. The Moral Compass.
Multiple books. Perhaps the best known one is The Moral Compass, which is about integrity-driven leadership. Beautiful.
Beautiful. And he has an upcoming book called The Great Media Reset, which we're going to hear more about. Moe has spoken to over 4 million people, both in person and virtually, about leadership principles. His commitment to excellence, innovation, and integrity has established him as a pioneering force in the media industry and a beacon of transformative leadership, setting a benchmark for future generations to aspire to. And he's been nominated recently for a Pulitzer Prize.
Yes, absolutely. Exciting.
Very
exciting stuff.
Very exciting. I'm going to ask you all about that.
Wonderful.
But first, you know how excited I am to have you, and our beloved LA Tribune. Say hi. Say woo. Yay! Our beloved LA Tribune executive team is here, and the general counsel. We have quite a luminous crowd here.
We have wonderful people in the live studio audience. It's very exciting. It's a wonderful environment, and most importantly of all, a wonderful host of this show. I'm so delighted to spend some time with you.
Thank you. I'm absolutely honored. So we're going to start, my beloveds, with, as we always do, which is really just giving this to Spirit, invoking the Spirit, calling in the light. So if you would just, unless you're driving, close your eyes and really open your heart and allow the possibility of the miraculous, the mystical, and the magical to occur in this conversation. That this conversation be not only with Moe and I, but certainly with Spirit and with each one present. That we might know there is only one present, and that one is love. So just taking a deep breath, breathe in all the love of the universe, and as you exhale, just let go of anything less than love. And breathe in light, and breathe out anything less than light. Any stress or negativity or karma that it might be released as we keep breathing in love and light and breathing out less, we open into the light of the Holy Spirit, placing this beautiful conversation into the light, that it might serve many. We just place each one present, each one to listen to the archives now and for many years to come, all into the light. That our planet might be blessed, that we might know ourselves as born the beloved of God, that we might make an even greater commitment to serve the one love that is the principle, the guiding principle of who we are. And that we might know there really is no other. That we might come into the one accord, that peace might prevail, and that we might be conduits of divine intention. And so be it. Blessed be and amen.
And so be it.
Thank you.
Powerful.
Yes, thank you, my friend. Mo, I have told so many people about you, and here's why. I've been to a few of your events. I'm so privileged to be in Pillars of Power, your new film coming out in October, I believe.
Yes.
We'll hear all about that in a moment. But I have to just emphasize to you, my beloved viewers and listeners, this man embodies service. And I must tell you, I moved into the ashram down the street. We're in an ashram, as I'm temporarily displaced for probably quite a while from the Palisades, so my beautiful studio is no longer. But we're in this gorgeous ashram, and I moved into the ashram down the street at age 23. Service has been my guiding principle, and you are the embodiment of service to me. I went to one of Mo's events, and every single person that was recognized not for their achievements, of which there were many, but for their service.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, I see you speak to everybody the same, whether it's the mayor who happened to be there,
yes,
or the luminaries you interview and have on your on the LA Tribune. He's like, oh, you don't need to sell anything. Yes, I do. This is good news, people. This is good news.
Yes.
So we're going to talk more about that. But how is it that you embody service consciousness? From whence did that come, and what inspires you to that? Because you've done it to such an extraordinary level.
What a beautiful question. I've never been asked that. And as you're asking that question and being so complimentary, I can't help but think of the word values. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that it's important for us, both societally as well as individually, to ask ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Because there's no value in lying to yourself, right?
Right.
And a lot of people tend to do that. But be real honest about what are my values. And having the right values, and right is obviously subjective, is the catalyst of what you're describing in terms of the work that my team and I do. And all of these events that you see, the motion pictures you're talking about, the books, the newspapers, the magazines that we reach internationally. It's not a one-man show, and our team of people, a handful of which are here, but many of which work literally around the world. Right. Literally, we have a team that works around the clock. Our chief strategy officer, our chief operating officer is in communication with our international team, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in the Philippines, at odd nights of the hour. But the one thing that we make sure of is to attract individuals that have the right values. And if someone slips through the cracks that doesn't share the right values, we're unapologetic about ceasing the relationship, the working relationship, because values are everything. And as a business owner, what I've noticed is that a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses don't end up failing because of who they hire. They end up failing because of who they don't fire. And so we also need to be very protective of the community that we call our team. We have the families that we are born with, and then we have the families we choose to have. And oftentimes, these are individuals we choose to work with. So I give all the credit to the team, some of which who are here today: Alicia, Parisa, Sajindra, who keeps us all out of trouble, our wonderful attorney, and many others that are here and watching around the world, who I'm sure will see this. But credit goes to them, and if they're part of our ecosystem, they share the value of servitude. We are here to be useful, in my point of view. We are here to play a role in this beautiful play that we are all a part of. And it's exciting, and it's fun, and I like to have fun while I make the world a better place.
That is so, so beautiful. And you also, I'm probably going to embarrass you before we finish. If I haven't, then I probably haven't actually expressed how I feel about you and your amazing team. I know if several are here. Say hi, guys. Hi. Yeah, several are here, and then but every single one I've met, it's to me it's of course it's a trickle down culture from you. And every single one is full of love, of service, of warmth, of let's just get it done.
Yes. Well, what a wonderful observation. And I believe that we can be loving, we can be caring, we can be empathetic, we can be compassionate, and we can simultaneously be very strong. And I believe that this is something that sometimes gets a little bit lost in the sauce. I think the strength is not fully understood by a lot of people. And so what you're describing just moments ago before we started, you saw solution mode.
Yes.
And that's very important to have in life, solution mode. When a problem arises, we focus on a solution, and then we get it done, and we do it with integrity, and we make sure that the problem is eradicated.
Yes.
And this is a philosophy that I instill in those that I work with. And there are no excuses for solutions to not be, come to surface. And we could still have a space where we have a high expectation of one another and do it with love, and do it with compassion, and do it with empathy, and do it with integrity. You can be very strong and also be a kind person.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times in society, there's a misconception of what true power is. And this is a perfect segue to one of the films of our motion picture division that's being released at the end of this year, called Pillars of Power. We're going to have a Japanese release. We have one of the top companies in Japan supporting us with this in the form of media. And Pillars of Power, which I'm directing and producing alongside Donna Campbell, is about this concept, this philosophy of what is true power. Because a lot of times when you think of power, you may think of Machiavellianism.
Right.
You might think of Sun Tzu. And there's a time and place for all of that in life. But there's also a good example of someone who I believe really understood power. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, who was famous for being the world's greatest samurai of Japan. Now here's somebody that, when you study his life, he appreciated poetry. He appreciated literature. He appreciated music. If you read some of his literature, he's talking about the beauty of a butterfly. He's talking about the beauty of flowers and a rose. And yet, he was a samurai. And you know what samurais were famous for doing?
Being warriors.
Cutting things off, including heads.
Right.
And so, my point is, he was somebody to protect the villages, by the way,
Yes.
as a warrior.
Yes.
So my point is, he was very empathetic, he was very kind, but he was also very tough. He was a tough guy. He wasn't someone you wanted to insult or mess with. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that culture is very important for me, to instill that in the people I work with. We're just as loving, just as kind as we are strong. And that is sort of the secret sauce that describes the experience you've had with my team.
That is so beautiful, and that is precisely the experience I've had with your team. And to me, that is the spiritual warrior, speaking of samurais, where your armor is love, and your discernment, your clarity is unmitigating. And that is, to me, what we're being called into in this time of intensity, where so much is occurring on the planet, and many people are afraid. And to the great media reset, you talk about in your TED Talk, which is fabulous, by the way, Moe Rock, TED. What's the name of it?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Slipped my mind. I believe it's called The Future of Journalism, or something along the likes.
If you just Google Moe Rock TED Talk, you'll find it. But you talk about how general news, most news, it's 17 pieces of bad news to every one piece of good news. And if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds,
it leads. That's been the motto for the last 50 years or so, as we've seen the evolution of journalism. And you can trace the field of journalism back to the Gutenberg press of several hundred years ago, and trace it all the way to what we have today. But the concept of if it bleeds, it leads is something that we need to hit a great reset on.
Yes.
And my upcoming book, called The Great Media Reset, is about this very same principle. it's time for us to push the reset button on media and start from scratch and start with the blank canvas and ask ourselves, what is it that we want news companies to do for society? Do we want them to continue to instill fear and division and confusion and have glorified opinions sold as facts? Or do we want them to be companies that can make society function better and make people fundamentally contribute to society and love thy neighbor instead of what media has helped contribute to, which is be afraid of thy neighbor. And a lot of the bubbles of culture that we see, that when we see angry groups, when we see people that are showcasing anger towards others or hatred, you look at the root, it stems from fear. A lot of times the angriest people around the world are doing it out of fear. And then the second question arises societally is, what is the root cause of that fear? And unfortunately, there are a lot of my colleagues in the news industry that I personally hold accountable to an extent that are contributing to that fear. And so we at the LA Tribune and all of our sister companies, and there are many of them around the world, we instilled the principle of empowerment. One of the principles of our editorial team is to ask ourselves, this content that we're producing, whether it's on our podcast network, we have millions of people every month downloading our podcasts, whether it's the print news, movies, etc., does the following piece of content empower the person consuming it, or does it disempower the person consuming it? That fundamental question is the key question that we make sure we're always asking as we go along the journey of providing news and creating content.
To me, that's such a beautiful marriage of divine intent, surrender to what's the highest good, and professionalism, grounded efficacy, and getting, bringing impact, serving people in a much greater way, which is only possible if you're a well-run company, if you're professional, if you're bold, if you don't hold back. It's a beautiful marriage of spirit and world, to me. Not that there's a separation, but we are in physical bodies. We're
Yes.
not ethereal gossamer beings entirely, right?
Yes.
And so how do you maintain that? That's not an easy state, Mo, to be very effective in the world, to be abundant, and also to be absolutely surrendered to the highest good.
As you know, we're not physical beings with a spirit. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Yes.
And so with that in mind, one of the 7 Hermetic principles is as above, so below. As within, so without. And so it's important for us to remember that and stay grounded.
Hermes Trismegistus.
Absolutely. And for me, what I have found is making sure that I have a good support system. I have people that I trust and love, that we have that mutual respect for, and we can maintain each other's vibrational frequencies.
Beautiful.
So I believe that to be a spirit that is operating at a certain frequency, you got to make sure you're around the same kind of spirits. Because if you're, the great Nikola Tesla said, all of the questions in the universe start to make sense when you look at the world through the concept of frequencies. This was Tesla. This was not,
Gandhi or Buddha.
This was not an aspiring self-help author that you and I know many of.
Right.
This was the man that, and I love all of them, by the way, but
yeah.
this was a man that changed the history of technology.
Yes.
This was a real deal
This
kind
was
of
a
guy.
scientist. This was empirical evidence,
yes,
measurable change.
Exactly, and he said that the answers to the great questions can be found when you look at the world through vibrations and frequencies. And so that's very profound.
Yes.
When you actually think about it. And so who are we allowing in our energetic space? If you do not have the strength to protect your energetic space, then you are creating a reality that you don't want to experience. And so whether and by the way, who you allow in your energetic space is every single person you interact with on any level. So who do you choose to let in your home? Who do you choose to work with? Who do you choose as a client? Who do you choose to hire? Who do you choose in any circumstance. This, to me, is the most important decisions that we need to make in life. And if you make that mistake, then you're compromising your own integrity, but you're also compromising your vibrational frequency, and you're also compromising the potential that you have to be a great person on the planet. And so I have a very big circle, but I also have a very tight circle. And this is not something that is by accident, because I'm very selective with who I interact with in any capacity. And I think that that is a very important lesson for some people to learn. I see great people with great potential that sometimes waste away the possibilities of their lives because they want to hang out at the bar, or they want to just be mellow, and but they're not around the kinds of minds and the kinds of spirits that are actually uplifting, inspiring them to be a better man or woman. And so that is also very important, as you know.
That's beautiful. I don't remember who said we are the sum of the 5 people we hang out with the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and tell me, how is it? Because to me, you're a deeply introspective person. But you have this. You're very bold, but you also have this very quiet, serene part of you. How is it that you go beyond your comfort zone and live this very expansive life, impact these millions of people, speak to many, many thousands at once? How do you come out of that? How do you do this outer work from a place of alignment and inner focus?
I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I can get outside of my comfort zone. And if I am, if all the cells in my body are telling me to stay in the comfort zone, that's when the beauty of the conscious mind comes into work, right?
Right.
Our subconscious mind, which operates us, and our conscious mind, which is really kind of the one that has the short end of the stick.
That's fair.
But sometimes you got to amplify the conscious mind. I had a friend that was going through some troubles and couldn't get out of bed. As an example, and I'm sure we've all had friends in such circumstances. Well, consciously, until he was telling himself, I need to get out of bed, and ignore all of the instincts that would tell him to just lay in bed, until he actually overcame the subconscious mind, he was going to be stuck there. And so what you're describing is an example of stepping into places that are uncomfortable, stepping into boldness, stepping into taking risks as a business owner, whether it's entering markets that are brand new to us, et cetera. And so consciously making the decision to do those certain things that are not comfortable is the only way to truly grow and to express ourselves. And if you look at the universe is in a constant state of expansion.
Yes.
And so we are not only beings that can observe the universe, we're literally inside of that very same universe we're observing.
Right.
So we are part of that universe.
Right.
And so our natural state is a state of expansion. And so I believe that as we live our lives, we have to focus on expression and expansion. And when we live our lives focusing on and putting our energy in expression and expansion, that's where I believe our natural state is as spirits.
That is so beautifully said and so clear, and potentially your third book.
Yes, yes. Will you write the foreword for it?
Absolutely.
There we go.
Done.
I got you on video saying yes.
You did, absolutely. It would be my honor. So I want to return just for a moment to the great media reset, because
Yes.
I think this changes our world.
Yes.
This changes our world. So tell us, I mean, that, my friend, even for someone as bold as you, is a big goal. Tell us, how can we support that? What does that look like? Talk to us about that. Let's talk it into manifestation.
Yes, well, it looks like a fundamental shift of culture in our media world. It also looks like exactly what we started our conversation talking about, which is values. We need to encourage the corporate world to start having different values. And we need to stop being small parts of these agendas that are economic by nature for the most part. And we need to be, first of all, aware of what's happening. And right now we're in the stage of expanding awareness on it. And once that goal has been accomplished and we have reached enough people, and really to make fundamental change in anything in life, you only need about 1 to 3% of the population to believe in the work that you're doing.
Really?
Here in the United States, as an example, we had something called the revolution against our friends in the Great Britain, who we used to refer to as redcoats.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. It's slightly derogatory.
Right.
But we only had 3% of the people here in the United States that actually were active participants of that revolution.
Really?
97% of people were either neutral or not really involved very much.
I didn't know that.
And so the foundation of our nation is based upon 3% of people that got together, organized, communicated with one another, and said enough is enough. It wasn't a revolution where 100% of Americans decided to participate and be active in it.
Wow.
And so, and obviously, you know, we don't need any kind of violence for a idea revolution or a news revolution. You know, I don't imagine journalists picking up any pitchforks soon, but I do believe that they can pick up their pens.
Yes.
And sit at their typewriters and make a difference that way. The pen is mightier than the sword. And so all we need is about 1 to 3% of the world to join us on this mission. And I do believe we'll make fundamental change and have the value of empowerment be the top value of news instead of division, confusion, and economic agendas.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's fascinating. Only 3% needed. And that was the revolution.
We would not be having this conversation today if that didn't happen.
That's amazing. That's actually in my blood. I'm descended from a signer of the Declaration.
I know I liked you for some reason.
That's right. Now we know what that is. And so I want to go back for just a moment because we're talking about revolution. But we're talking about a spiritual revolution.
Yes.
Will you tell us whatever you're called to about your spiritual focus, your spiritual path, your spiritual practices?
Yeah. Well, for me, spirituality is very simple. I know that there are many people that dedicate their lives to reading words that have to do with spirituality. I know there are a lot of people that for decades and decades have read books and listened to speeches and spoke to a lot of people, and I think that that's perfectly fine. I simply think spirituality is being in the present moment and living life in the now. In the words of Ram Dass, be here now.
Right.
And to me, the cover of that book and the title of that book is pretty much all-encompassing. To be here now. And I know that for a lot of people that's not satisfactory because as a seeker, you're trying to find something. And you're looking for an aha moment. And what I notice are that a lot of people get trapped into the act of seeking so long where they forget what they're even really looking for.
Right.
And so to me, spirituality is at its best when it's simple, and simplicity is key. So and inspiration can be found from many different places in terms of that simple route that you take in life. The Zoroastrians, which stem from 7,000 years ago, the ancient Persians, they had 3 very simple pillars that they practiced: good thoughts, good deeds, good actions. It was not very complicated. It was not very complex. And I love that particular philosophy. Although I don't practice any dogmas specifically, every day I ask myself, what are some good thoughts, good deeds, and good actions that I can live by? And for me, that's enough.
And you certainly manifest that. I mean, you're prolific.
Thank you.
So speaking of that, what can you share with us about your Pulitzer Prize nomination?
Well, I just found out from our editor-in-chief, Ava Manuel, about it. I'm part of a team that is involved in that. I cannot take all the credit, and it has to do with the writing that we have published in the last year that has to do with thought leadership. And our special thought leadership newspaper here is a reflection of that. And if you look at this, this has never been done before in the history of the news, where you have a newspaper exclusive for thought leaders and exclusively written about thought leadership. And it's a redefinition of the news. And I want to thank my colleagues for letting me be a part of that, because I played a very small role in the actual creation of this and these ideas that have been published. But it's an exciting step, because it's a step that says even the corridors of power are recognizing the need for more positivity.
Yes.
And I think that it's a spark that is very profound from the standpoint of the establishment, and members of the establishment are now realizing maybe the LA Tribune is right about something, that maybe enough is enough with this it leads thing. And so again, we just need 1 to 3% of those people to believe in the message of empowerment, and I think there will be a trickle-down effect. In fact, some other very iconic brands out of Southern California are now holding thought leadership events and are now talking about thought leadership, and this has never happened before in their history. We see this popping up, so I'm happy. I don't need to get the credit, right? I want to see the change societally, and that's my driving force, and so I'm happy. So when you see newspaper companies doing thought leadership events, just know that it likely stemmed from inspiration from our team, and we love it.
Yes.
We want everyone to do that, because it's not about credit, it's about let's make the world a better place.
Amazing, amazing. And it's do you know the term entelechy?
Entelechy?
Yes.
Wow, I don't have the intellect to know entelechy. Can you share that? Share with me what that is?
Yes, entelechy is that seed within you that is your endemic greatness, the greatness you were born with, the intention that God instilled, God's spirit, the universe instilled with you. What was spirit trying to learn through you when you were incepted? So the entelechy of a towering oak tree is the nut, the seed.
Yes.
Right? So that from that tiny seed grows this towering tree. From that tiny inspiration grows the signers of the Declaration, grows Beethoven, grows Moe Rock, etc. So to me, this is the seed that can, if our government, if our people, if enough people listen to that 3%, that can grow that beautiful towering tree.
Do you mind if I borrow that word and start using it in my vocabulary?
I would love for you to borrow that word. And regrettably, I did not come up with it myself, so I'm borrowing it from somebody.
I love it.
And to me, that's what this is. That's what you're... And I have to just take a moment here and celebrate. You bought a newspaper in... When did you buy it?
2019, my partners and I, yes. 2019,
you bought a print newspaper that was 130 years old?
So the history of the name stems back to 1886, and since then it's had multiple owners. It's had moments where it's been completely out of print, moments where it's been in print. It's had a very long history in terms of the power of the name. So I really look at myself more as a steward of the name than a CEO. On paper, sure, you have different titles and corporate titles, but really, I'm the steward, and my job is to make sure that we have the right people that are representing this brand that has been part of the Southern California ethos since the late 1800s.
Amazing.
With respect, with love, because the name is going to outlive all of us. The name was here before any of us were born, and the name will be here when all of us have walked into that beautiful sunset and transitioned. And so while we are lucky enough to have this opportunity, the key is to be proper stewards. By the way, not only of the Tribune, but of other brands, such as San Diego Weekly, such as the Dubai Business Journal. Some of them are new brands, but they still have the same level of care and compassion that's required. So the Dubai Business Journal, as an example, which we did a ribbon cutting ceremony for just a few months ago with some of our international partners, is already considered a top publication that's
Amazing.
affiliated with Dubai.
Amazing.
Even though it's a new brand.
Right.
But it's the power of the strength of the name and the team. And we have some incredible partnerships, which I'm not privy to share publicly yet, but some of the biggest, most powerful, luxurious companies in the world are our official partners.
Wow.
And very soon, by the time this airs, probably we'll put some press releases out. But we're playing with some of the top level people internationally in business. And it's exciting because we get to actually influence from inside out at the toppest, highest levels and help instill a culture that we need at those levels of business. So that's the thing that excites me about the work that we do.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can, and I was just interviewing a Fortune 100 consultant a few months ago, and he said that's where the change is going to come, from business, from within business.
Yes.
And so that's incredibly exciting, incredibly exciting. So tell us, you have the print ad, you have the mini verticals, they're called. Tell us about the film division. So Pillars of Power, that's the first film, I think?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So we have a film festival that we have partnered up with some veterans of the film festival space that have been involved in that world for over a decade. And we have our Los Angeles Tribune International Film Festival that's going to be just right around the corner in Southern California. And we're on, for any aspiring directors that may be watching, they still have some time to apply on Film Freeway.
Wow.
They simply have to look us up and apply for their films to be selected. And an extension of that in the film space is our film division. And we have a very exciting, again, another exciting partnership that I'm not privy to share.
Okay.
But I think by the time this comes out, I might be able to, and I'll tell you privately, you'll get a kick out of this actually.
Great.
When I tell you the company. And we're working with a streaming platform to have a relationship, to have distribution of motion pictures and films that have to do with thought leadership. Thought leadership, whether that is physical for health and wellness, whether that is for financial literacy and educating people on business leadership and business ideas, whether that's for relationships. We believe that relationships can be news. And so whether it's relationships, financially, physically, spiritually, or mentally. And so these 5 pillars are the pillars of not only our film division as a whole, but even a specific film that you are involved with, and you are one of the stars of, Pillars of Power. And so with Pillars of Power, the vision was to take all 5 of these principles, bring them into one film, and help redefine the word power. And so the real goal of the film and the film series, Pillars of Power, is to redefine how people look at that word power. And if I could accomplish that with my movie, then I know we did a great job. And with such a great cast, including you being amongst that cast, I really think we could do that together. And some other great people in the cast include multiple stars from the hit movie The Secret, include Japan's top nonfiction author, Ken Honda, who's a good friend of mine, and many others, including the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Sharon Lecter, another good friend of mine, who's in the film. So we have these incredible thought leaders, and we traveled. Our team just came back from Japan recently. We traveled to do the production of this. And the idea is to redefine power for the world.
How do you define power?
I define power by a mesh of those 5 principles being equally ignited in our lives. And having these 5 principles work in harmony with one another in our life, I believe, is the definition of true power.
I love that, and it's the visual of that is very stable. You think of a hand, like if we put that down on a solid surface, a solid foundation, it's very stable. It'd be very hard to move that hand. So that's really beautiful, and I think that, and I don't know if I'm giving away that I'm in LA, but I think we can kind of not look so much at the financial pillar. I think that can be not considered as spiritual as the rest. And so help us reframe that.
Well, even from a simple mathematical side of looking at it, you could say that the financial pillar is 20% of the 5 pillars. And so it's very important, and I believe that the financial pillar is very important in life. And we can use our journey in terms of our relationship with money as a great tool for our spiritual growth. And I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that are very financially successful, but they don't have any spiritual element in their life. And so they are very poor.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people that are in excellent physical condition, and they go to the gym every day, 7 days a week. But they can barely pay their gym membership. And so they're also poor. And I also know people that have this amazing spiritual life, and they are doing transcendental meditation, and they have the most beautiful crystals in their home, and they love to live a life of love and service, and yet they are in horrible physical condition, and they don't take care of their physical health. And I don't know if you've ever tried to meditate with back pain, but it's a little challenging to sit still when you
end up meditating on back pain.
You end up meditating on back pain. And so to look at these 5 categories of life and make sure that you're equally valuing all of them, I think is a practice that I certainly live, and I encourage others to experiment with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I love the balance of that, because, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And my favorite definition of grounding is it's not grounding your spirit, it's bringing the spirit all the way into this level, so that everything we do becomes a spiritual practice, not just when we're in lotus, when we're in full lotus meditating. You're such an open-hearted person. That's a choice. I mean, I'm sure that's your nature, but it's also a choice. How do you keep choosing to open your heart when people disappoint you? When I'm certain in business, you don't always see the best side of people. How do you keep choosing to open your heart?
You just choose to. And, I know it might sound so simple, but that's what life is all about. Choosing to be a person that operates with your heart. Choosing to be a person that operates with love. Choosing to be a person that operates with compassion. And I really think it's a choice. And if you choose to live that way, you'll live a life that reflects that. If you choose not to live that way, you'll also live a life that reflects that. And so it's a decision that every leader needs to make, and every person needs to make, in terms of what kind of love they want to radiate. Going back to what we've been talking about, I think that's true strength. I think true strength is not found in closing walls, it's found in opening walls, whether it's in your heart, whether it's in your soul, etc. And so I think that's the most important thing. And with relationships specifically, a lot of times people don't work on who they are first before they enter a relationship. And so if I look at a partner as a supplement to my own needs, then I have no business being in a relationship. Not everyone, by the way, should be in a relationship.
Fair.
This is another thing.
Yes.
This is another phenomenon of our society where we have demonized people being single.
It's true.
I think if you got to work on yourself, go be single for a minute.
Right.
Right. Get yourself in order. Get your stuff together, and then find the right individual for you. But we don't live in a world that practices that theory.
True.
We live in a world where everyone feels like they have to be with someone at every second of the day. We live in a world where if people are single, they think something's wrong with them.
Right.
And that needs to end. You should be with someone when you're ready to be with someone, when you've developed into the kind of person that first of all loves the self,
Yes.
respects the self.
Yes.
And then you can be with someone and share that love and respect. But if you don't love and respect yourself, you cannot love or respect your partner. And if you're with a person that doesn't love and respect themselves, and the two of you are together trying to love and respect each other, well, good luck.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And yet that is such a common place that people get stuck in.
Very, very true. And it's an inside game.
Yes.
You know, it reminds me of the Buddhist quote, I am not what you think I am, you are what you think I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And to me, that's what's special, so special. One of the many things that's special about this and all your verticals. Alicia, my namesake, taught me that term, which is that it has that same mentality, that same intention, if you will, and it said God is intention. So that same intention of let's promulgate good, let's spread good, and let's trust that that's going to lead to success. We don't need to get into the if it bleeds, it leads mentality. Now, in our current environment with so much intensity on the planet and everybody worried about the current, about climate change and the current administration and et cetera, what good news is there right now? What can you tell us about the good news about the current state of affairs?
The good news about the current state of affairs, and the most important thing to remember, is that we don't need to be members of the auditorium. We can be people that are in the game. And so the concept of sitting back and watching the world move without our involvement is another place people get stuck.
Yeah.
They maybe watch the TV or they read a newspaper or they read a headline, and they don't recognize that they can actually help alter the next headline. And so the most important thing to remember, and the great news, is that we can all have a hand and a say in the world that we want to live in. And yet people refuse to believe that.
Right.
And I could go on platforms like this and say it, and most people will hear me say it, but they'll still think, well, I'm just one person.
Right.
What can I do?
Right.
And if they don't believe that what I'm saying is true for them and resonates with them and is in harmony with their worldview, then what you choose to believe is the truth for you.
Right.
And so when people stop minimizing their own potential and minimizing that one person can change the world, can alter the history of our species, so that's where people need to really recognize the good news. The great news is I can make the world a better place. And the great news is people listening should be saying that to themselves. I can make the world a better place. I can help alter the news. I can be the news. I can be the next great headline myself. I can write the next great best-selling book. I can actively participate in my community and make a positive change. That's great news. And it's true. And it's the truth that people need to know.
That's so beautiful, and it's empowering.
Yes.
It's the quintessence of empowering. I love I know it was on some of your reels, but I think it's also on YouTube, where you talk about, with social media, you're actually voting when you like, or when you comment. You're actually voting for the news.
Yes.
You're voting for what's going to be presented to you. So what is the good news about that?
The great news about that is, now we're getting into the technical side of stuff. So technically speaking, if you're commenting and liking a piece of news, you're also sending a message to those corporations, to the algorithms, to the social media companies, to the newspaper companies, that this needs to get fed more.
Okay.
And so naturally speaking, what gets the most attention? The horror, the evil, the bad news. That's what gravitates to people the most effective way. And so until we tame our actions on social media, we can't really start voting for the right things. And so I want to see more people share, like, comment on the positive stuff in the world. That is something that you can control. That is a very small example of a way for you to at least start the practice of choosing to make the world a better place. Instead of consuming all the negativity and having that ratio not be in harmony, you can start incorporating positive news, positive content that makes the world a better place, and liking, commenting, sharing a good piece of news instead of sharing something negative and saying, hey, look at this horrible thing that just happened.
Right.
And so we know on social media it's mostly negative. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to see that. And so are we going to contribute to more negativity, or are we going to sprinkle some positivity? And the great thing about that is a giant dark room gets lit by one little candle.
What a great analogy. That's true.
And so if we just start sharing with the world good news, it will have a radiant effect.
That was very eloquent.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's a great visual. Like if you hold one candle in a dark room, it changes the whole room. And then if someone else comes and they, you light their candle, now the room is that much brighter, and they light. But the commonality there is you have to light up.
Yes.
You have to be the light, and that again is a choice, especially when there is so much out there that we could choose to be anxious about. But I love that you are not saying, that you are actually being causative. You're being generative. You're generating good news.
Yes.
You're putting good news out there. That must feel incredible.
Yes, it does feel incredible. It's my purpose. It's our collective purpose at the LA Tribune to make the world a better place through the power of media. And it's so important for us to know our purpose. When people ask me what my purpose is, I know what it is immediately. It's to make the world a better place through media. And that's my fuel. That's what gets me excited. That's what puts a pep in my step when I wake up in the morning. And it's also something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know why they are here.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate place to stay stuck in, but the good news is you don't need to stay stuck. One of the great miracles of our existence is we can actually choose what our purpose can be. That's kind of a secret that people don't want to accept.
Right.
They think that their purpose, for some of us, our purpose could unfold. For some of us, our purpose can be discovered. But if you've been trying to find your purpose and you're just looking and you look under your pillow, you look under the rug, and you have no idea what it is, then you can make the decision consciously to carve out what you want your purpose to be. And who's to say that that's not your purpose?
Right.
It's your purpose. It's your life.
Right.
And so you have to have a purpose. You have to have something that you're here to do. We all do. Even Howard Gardner, the researcher from Harvard University, discovered that every single person is considered a genius in at least one field of intelligence.
Wow.
So there's something that somebody is a Mozart in. Every one of us. And yet our inner Mozart oftentimes gets neglected.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that we're expressing our inner Mozart, our inner Beethoven, our Leonardo da Vinci. We all have that spirit in us, in something. But most of us on this planet are spending our time doing something we're mediocre at.
Right.
Instead of doing something that we can be great at.
Right.
And so if you're doing something that you don't have the potential and possibility of being the greatest at, you're also wasting your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is so beautifully said, because there is something that is yours to do, that Spirit created you to learn more about that area through you. But I think that we can be afraid of the power of our purpose. We can resist, I think, as a society, we can resist. It's that Marianne Williamson quote of it's our light that most frightens us, not our darkness.
Yeah.
And so I think that can stop people. Who am I to be bold and great and a genius? And her, her question is, who are you not to be? So what do you have to say to our listeners who probably have, their eyes may be welling up because they know the truth of your words? What can you say to them to break past that resistance and to start expressing what is theirs to express?
Act. Act.
Love that.
Act. Move. Remember, expression and expansion. And when you're dealing with that inner resistance, the remedy to that, the antidote to that, is to embrace external resistance. Internal resistance can be resolved by embracing external resistance. And so if you're feeling like you cannot move or cannot do something, that's when you need to start doing. That's the remedy. If you feel like you don't want to go to the gym, those are the days you need to go to the gym.
Right.
If you feel like you don't want to go to work on a certain day, sometimes those are the days you need to go to work.
Yeah.
if that is what your purpose is. And so embrace external resistance. Don't stay stuck. Move. Movement is key, literally and metaphorically. And so if you're at that place where you're, right now, as you're saying, getting emotional hearing this conversation, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. And now it's time to get over it and move. And that's an important message for you to tell yourself as well.
Absolutely. Expression and expansion.
Yes.
And it's that if you jump, the net will appear.
Yes.
You know, jump and your life will appear.
Absolutely. Absolutely right.
Yes. I hope you have several, I'm sure you do have articles. Do you contribute a lot to?
Believe it or not, I've never had any of my work published yet. Our editor-in-chief, Alva Manuel, if you're watching, I'm going to submit something soon.
Yes.
I hope that you approve it and publish it for us.
Well, really, I hope you do. I mean, obviously people
Yes.
will see this and they see your videos and they see your talks and your presentations. But to have something in print, I think people would refer back to it.
Yes, and I've had some things that we have published. Of course, the team project we did, which is Pulitzer-affiliated, was something I'm very proud of. And my work stems around leadership primarily. It's what I'm passionate about,
Yes.
writing and sharing with the world and speaking about. I think we need not only a new kind of media, but a new kind of leadership. And my book, The Moral Compass, if you read the first chapter of it, it's all about the work of Buckminster Fuller and the concept of integrity. And to me, that concept is so important for the main pillar of life. I don't believe anything can happen without the practice of integrity. And so that's a strong force that also is instilled in me and the work that we do, and I hope the folks watching at home.
Absolutely. Integrity is, there's a beautiful definition of it, that it's being one with what is. It's being congruent with who you are. It's the outer matches the inner. I know Bucky was an amazing pioneer and demonstrator of that. The Moral Compass, I have not read that book. I'm going to read, that's going to be my bedside table. And speaking of the Moral Compass, I mean, yes, I hear you that you haven't put something in print yet in this, but to me, all of this is a reflection of you, your culture, your leadership, your ethos. So really, you have a lot in print. It just doesn't have just your name on it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're about to do a meditation. Do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to share before we do the meditation?
It's been such a delight to spend time with you. Thank you for the opportunity. You are such a gracious spirit, and I had a lot of fun talking with you. And I hope our conversation helped one person who heard it. If one person was inspired to take action, if one person found some healing, if one person was enlightened, if one person realized how much potential they truly do have to make the world a better place and to be in control of the very next headline that they may read in the paper. I'm happy, and thank you very much. And I want to remind folks, if they want to be in touch with me, the easiest way is to simply follow me on Instagram at Moe Rock Loves You on Instagram, and to follow our great team at the Los Angeles Tribune on all social media platforms.
Absolutely. I follow all of them, and their Instagram posts are so inspiring, empowering, and of course, check out the Los Angeles Tribune, and Pillars of Power will be debuting, launching. We'll probably have a red carpet event, if I know you.
Yes.
In October. Still October?
October, the film will be done. In terms of our red carpet premiere, that date is to be determined, either Q4 of this year, Q1 of next year.
Fabulous. So Pillars of Power, a lot of the original cast members of The Secret and some new cast members. And Moe Rock Loves You. Does that not say everything that you need to know about Moe? That is his Instagram handle, right? So let's move into meditation and experience, as Moe talked about acting, as everybody talked about acting, we're going to move into a moment of meditation here to experience this, and then we will share a few more closing thoughts and bid you adieu. So just take a moment and let's just breathe in all the good news, all the goodness. Breathe in the love of the universe. And as you exhale, let's just let go of that which is less than love, less than light. So deep breath in, breathe in love. Exhale and just melt into the moment, letting go of any stress, anything that was released. Just let it all go and come into the shared space of goodness, of optimism, of possibility. And just be aware now that you are a promulgator, a generator of good news, first within yourself and then reflected into the world. So just open your heart and realize that that secret pain, wherever you might bleed, that we are all truly with you. That the goodness of the LA Tribune, of thought leaders, of all those seeking to do good in the world, that you are never alone, because there is only one consciousness, and that is a consciousness of love. So I want you now, whatever that secret pain is, I want you to put it in your hands. Cup your hands in front of you. Just put that secret pain in your hands. And now, also in your hands, we're going to transmute that with all the goodness that's been shared, all the good intentions of that 3%, with all the power of one atom. There's going to be an explosion of light into that secret pain, that secret wound. So you're going to close your hands around with that light in your hands and that challenge. Close your hands tight, tight. Now we're going to lift it up into the light. 1, 2, 3, lift it up. And that pain is transmuted by the light that's with it. That you might be lighter, freer, truer, open to fully manifesting your purpose. Whether it's a purpose you know you were born to manifest, or whether it's a purpose you can, as Moe said, choose. I love to do this. That's my purpose. And I'm going to share it. And when I'm afraid I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid I'm too good, I'm simply going to act. I'm going to jump and trust that the net will appear. Why? Not because you're special, but because this world is in need of your gift, and that is special. Because one person is more than enough to change our planet and turn the tide to light. Let that one person be you. As Moe said, only 3% can change the entire planet, can change a country, can change a mind. It's the power of one more. Take a deep breath in, breathe in that empowerment, breathe in the good news, breathe in the love of the universe, and as you exhale, that love amplifies, touching into each one present, touching into each one on the planet, lighting up that dark room as we light each other's candles until there is only light. Amen.
How wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been so inspiring, so delightful, life-changing. So again, Los Angeles Tribune, Moe Rock loves you. You can follow everybody involved with the LA Tribune on Instagram. You're going to be hearing so much more from this team. I know it. This has been an absolute honor.
Thank you so much, Alicia. The pleasure has been mine. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Let's go.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Let's
Thank you very
go
much.
change the world. Thank you. God bless. And just telling you, the next show is with Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, author for June. And in July is John Gray. And Coop Blackson will also be joining us in May. So thank you so much. Until next time, live your love. Bye for now.